My film falls under the genre of drama, but specifically its subgenre of psychological drama. Like films such as Girl Interrupted and Black Swan. In drama, realistic social problems are usually confronted in a dramatic sense that makes it intriguing to watch, but still relatable. The use of typography on my poster indicates towards the main theme of depression and mental breakdown within my film. The font I use seems like some sort of mad scroll. Looking at other films such as Girl Interrupted that have the themes of mental health use a rough font, which could also be said to portray the sense of mental disequilibrium, and so disequilibrium within the storyline. I have identified this sort of expressive font as a convention within psychological drama, with other films like Girl Interrupted in The Sixth Sense using a rough scratch-like type to show this sort of inner turmoil. A general convention with film posters is the font used for the billing block at the foot of the poster. For this I used the font Steel Tongues. I think it's important that this font is used so the audience can recognise this section as a billing block. It's also important for information as well, as it houses names of actors, directors, editors, institutional names and other staff. In my research I noticed that the audience questioned preferred to see the director's name on the poster rather than that of an actor or tagline. So I challenged the other posters in this genre of film, like The Sixth Sense, and Jim on the poster rather than that of an actor or tagline. So I challenged the other posters in this genre of film, like The Sixth Sense and Cherry Bomb ones, that used actors' names as a focal point, for example Rupert Grint and Bruce Willis, by changing what would have been the names of actors to A Film by Alex Van. In this sense it may interest the film fanatic audience more, as they may be more interested in the cinematography of my movie rather than who starred in it. When asking my audience what they thought was most important about a film poster, 55% of them answered with the main image. So I thought this would need to be firstly the main focal point of the poster, and second, have varying connotations about it and be intriguing, as well as reflect the narrative and character's persona. Looking back at my image, I feel that it did all three of these things. It is definitely eye-catching, with a sense of enigma about it, and I think hints towards a sense of disequilibrium in the narrative. This supposes the posters are textually analysed, as both images on the posters have connotations of equilibrium about them, as all characters are somewhat intertwined with each other. Using an image that has connotations of disequilibrium made more sense to me, as it would be more visually striking, and according to Todorov's theory, this part of the narrative is what may grip the audience most. Additionally, I think in Turmoil an audience may realistically relate or sympathise with the character. I used a bird's eye view mid-shot to show the pain and suffering of the main character. It shows his whole body as well as his facial expression, almost making the audience able to feel his pain. In relation to the poster for Cherry Bomb, a long shot is used. I chose to challenge this because I wanted to show more detail and intricacy in the facial expression and more focus on the senses than the Cherry Bomb poster. In the posters for Ken Park and Girl Interrupted, two films that relate most closely to the storyline of my film, there is very little colour used and particular emphasis on either black or white. I have led with this theme of colourlessness and made my poster have a very shallow tonality, editing the main image to bring out the light greys and express the whites, whilst making the fonts black. Using this lack of colour could be said to go against Levi Strauss's binary opposites theory. Strauss says that films in general have opposing themes, such as light versus dark, for instance. However, my poster's main image just shows light. There is obviously contrast between the font and main image, which could connote this light versus dark idea of Strauss's, but is done only because of necessity of having to be able to actually read the title. To some extent, the hypodermic syringe model is apparent in how dramas are received by the audience. Most of the themes that dramas involve, such as those of suicide or alcohol dependency in my film, may have an impact upon an audience, whether that be negative to a passive audience member or positive to an active audience member. The realistic issues that dramas address are bound to have an effect on the audience, and one of those may include the effect of the hypodermic syringe model. The audience may leave the cinema feeling the same as the character. My poster could have this effect in the sense of its ambiguity and the obvious pain the character is feeling. In this sense, a passive audience member may look at my poster and feel what they think the character feels. This opposes the Ken Park and Cherry Bomb posters, I think, as the emotions portrayed on the posters aren't directly and illicitly noticeable, whereas with my poster it's obvious that the main character is going through pain. During my textual analysis of the Cherry Bomb website, it was evident that using the same image from the poster has positives. First, I think it shows continuity, obviously, of a brand and a sort of icon throughout the film. For Cherry Bomb, it seemed to be the pool scene, and in my film, it's the bath scene. Using the same image drills into the audience's heads that the scene the image depicts is vital in the narrative of the film. Also, I think it hints towards the film's low budget. Cherry Bomb worked on a meagre budget for a film using high-profile actors, and so the continuation of use of the same image shows this, and the same goes with my film. In my textual analysis, there was only one website available for the sort of film I wanted to create. This was the Cherry Bomb website. This website looked confusing to me, with a lot of choice that didn't seem instantly necessary, so I challenged the choice given here and combined it with the ideas given in my research questionnaire, in which my audience specified that they would prefer a simplistic and minimal website over confusing, complex choices. Whilst I challenged this aspect of the Cherry Bomb website, I used the layout aspect of the embedded trailer on the homepage. I realised whilst analysing the website that this would be the most simple way for the audience to access the trailer. Underneath the trailer, I have used the common convention of the share button, which appears on the Cherry Bomb website. This allows the audience to share the trailer on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube or Tumblr, which helps to promote the film and could increase the range of people that may want to see the film. Another way in which this is done via my website is the Buy Tickets button, which is an idea I developed from the See Film button on the navigation bar of the Cherry Bomb website. This way, the audience can easily choose to get tickets to see the movie without having to go through the hassle of going directly to the cinema. Also, I've used a convention seen on the Cherry Bomb website of having a join mailing list option at the foot of my website's homepage. This way, the audience can be in touch with the film 24/7 and get updates and behind-the-scene features emailed directly to them. I added this because it's most likely that the over 25 independent film fanatic audience I would aim for would be most interested in being constantly in touch with the film world. My navigation bar differs from the Cherry Bomb one as it is more simplistic, offering less options, which I think is beneficial to the audience, as it keeps the function of the website very simplistic and easy to use. I've used typical iconography that appears in most psychological drama films: alcohol. It particularly appears in the trailer for Cherry Bomb. The icon of alcohol often represents the folly and rebellion of youth. However, the use of it in my trailer differs from that of Cherry Bomb, as the main character, who's the only one seen as being under influence of it, heavily uses it because of his steep decline into his depression. So whilst the inclusion of it on the surface uses a well-known icon, I think I have in a way developed the icon into one that suits the storyline of my film, as rather than being the icon of nihilistic rebellion of youth, it is used as a sort of medicine for my character in his long winding depression. Voiceovers are used in most trailers to tell the audience parts of the story that would either take a lot of shots in the trailer to establish, or that are established throughout the film. A voiceover also sets about a certain mood within a trailer that sometimes just diegetic sound cannot achieve. Out of the trailers I have looked at that are specific to my genre, Black Swan and Girl Interrupted use voiceovers to establish mood and narrative. I used this idea because we had to create a shorter trailer and I couldn't give away my story in a short amount of shots, so I decided to cover the main character's mental deterioration in several voiceovers, covering shots that suited them. I think it's generally easier to tell a story in words than in images. The use of dialogue tells the story in the sense that it's revealing scenes from the actual film with images. which gives the audience further idea of what to expect from the film. My dialogue mimics that of Black Swan, as most of it is conversational/confrontational. The cast of people I used is small, which challenges that of real drama films, as they usually depict a large cast in the trailer. In Girl Interrupted and Black Swan there are many characters shown, but with a focus on the main character. In terms of my cast, my trailer is more like an independent film with a small, tightly knit cast of characters whose stories are closely involved with the main character's story. Additionally, this small cast connotes the all-round disequilibrium within my trailer and physically shows the audience how alienated the main character makes himself. Additionally, my cast is completely Caucasian. I think this is shown as conventional for a sort of psychological drama, as particularly in Girl Interrupted, which focuses solely on mental health and depression, there isn't a wide representation of ethnicity within the genre of drama. The same could be said with the representation of age. There is always the main character, mostly a teenager, which is the age group of the main characters in Girl Interrupted, Cherry Bomb and Black Swan. And then the authoritative parent or grown-up who is always middle-aged. In Girl Interrupted, this seems to be the black nurse character, which goes against the normal ethnic stereotypes, but still follows ones of age. In my trailer, this authoritative character is taken by the mother, who seems protective but stern, much like the representation of the mother in the Black Swan trailer. I use this stereotype to make the main character seem more alienated, but I think I challenged the stereotype by having his mother leave him, something a protective parent wouldn't do. Most trailers in general, not just the genre of drama, start with a sort of scene of equilibrium. For example, the graduation scene in Girl Interrupted trailer and the start of the Cherry Bomb trailer. However, my trailer challenges this, as it starts with a few scenes of arguments and the main character's mother leaving the house with bags, obviously setting about a sort of disequilibrium. The Black Swan trailer also challenges conventions, but via a voiceover, as the main character talks about death.
I had the craziest dream last night, about a girl who was turned into a swan, but her prince falls for the wrong girl, and she kills herself.
I've used this voiceover idea to set about a mood like the Black Swan trailer does, and also outline the main character's feelings as well as to lay out the narrative for the audience, so they know what's going on. I chose to start my trailer with disequilibrium because I think it gains greater attention to begin with, rather than equilibrium, which is just accepted as normal. Also, my story doesn't have an overwhelming sense of equilibrium or happiness anyway, as my main character is never happy. Although, what creates a sense of, as Todorov would say, new equilibrium is the submergence into the water and therefore death at the end of the trailer. Alternatively, whilst it is a dramatic and depressive end, it could be said that it leaves the audience with a sense of unfulfillment. It creates a question in their minds whether the main character lives or if he doesn't, and what happens after that.